see if it loads up for me now.
All right. Welcome everyone to Tabletop Tuesday. And Ryzen here.
Oh hey, all three of the icons are there.
Yeah, I had to restart OBS to fix it again.
But it's working now. That's an improvement from yesterday.
Yeah, it is. In order to fix it, I had to completely restart the computer, then I had to start up OBS. And anytime I disconnect from Discord while OBS is running, I have to shut off OBS and turn it back on.
Wow.
That is such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Alright. Speaking of OBS, I'll get my own stream up because I want to stream this as well.
Okay, cool.
Ooh, double stream.
Yep. Oh, we're tiny. I need to fix that.
I'm going to go in the room to find you clothes for tomorrow.
Give me a second, I'm going to fix
If your
us.
dad calls on me, then make sure
There
you
we go.
answer. Got it?
That's a little better. We
Got
were
it.
tiny. We were teeny tiny eyed Strano vision. Alright, welcome everyone to Tabletop Tuesday, where we talk about some random nerd shit while I play some sort of video game for your entertainment. Before we get into the thick of the discussion, let us get the beginning announcements done and out of the way. Announcement number 1, our sponsors, Shockby Gaming Service, link is down below. They have a ton of games they cover, and they work fairly well. We've had very little issues with them, rather ever.
Yep.
Usually the issues we tend to have are stuff that we accidentally caused.
Or glitches within the mod pack itself.
Yeah. That is true. And then the next thing is W energy drinks. They don't cost a lot. The drinks taste amazing. I don't get the shakes from them. I'd highly recommend them. If you use the code RubyMadHatter, you get 10% off. Alright, and we do have an ad break starting in about 2.5 minutes because I had to restart OBS. So I do want to apologize for that. Now, hopefully this recognizes that Jurassic World Evolution's here? Maybe? Come on. Oh no. Might help if I pick the right game. Jesus. Come on. There it goes. Alright. Now, the wonderful discussion we're having today is going to be about Star Wars. Alright? We're having a rather in-depth discussion about Star Wars, the nature of the Force, and all that jazz. And I'm going to be pulling information from not just the movies, but also several books, as well as several video games. Alright? So, there is that. Inquisition, you want to talk about what sources you're going to be using?
I will be using my best knowledge from the movies and from what I can recall of Knights of the Old Republic and the MMO, Star Wars The Old Republic.
Okay.
As I didn't get the books.
I got my hands on some of the books, but not all of them. And most of the books I had access to were the, how do I put it? God damn, my brain is not going where it needs to be. Dumb brain. The expanded universe. So, it's not officially canon. I haven't gotten my hands on the canon books yet. Or I know I'd say hi, sexy, but I don't want to get people confused over who I'm talking to. Pleasant's like, this chat is a minefield, truly. Yeah, it is. So I'm going to be pulling information from the Thrawn trilogy, the Dark Empire trilogy, the rebirth of essentially the Emperor again, all that jazz. All right. So that's where I'm pulling information from is that. Now, mind you, though, it's the expanded universe, not the... excuse me, that's not the... that's the expanded universe, not the canon universe.
Right.
So, please keep that in mind when I talk about things. Now, some of the things I'm going to be pulling from are mostly going to be, books-wise, Outbound Flight, Heir to the Empire, and I believe... I'm trying to find the last one. Choices of One, and the last one I want to say is Vision of the Future. And Shadows of the Empire. I forgot about that series. I'll be pulling from that as well, because that involves the Emperor coming back from the dead.
Somehow, the Emperor came back.
Sort of. I'll get into that. Just give me a second.
Roundabout way.
It made way more sense in the expanded universe than it did in the
films.
In the films, by a large margin. All right. So we gotta wait until the ad break finishes first, which is a minute and a half, before we get into discussion. All right. Oh, snap, crackle, pop. God. I feel like, what was it? I'm trying to think of the comedian. George Carlin. Where the, is like, I got into an argument with my Rice Krispies. I thought I distinctly heard snap, crackle, F him. I am trying to do better about cursing, because my son has also started picking up on the cursing, as well as he doesn't like the cursing, so ergo, he said something rather foolish at school today, and we had to have a conversation.
Oh dear.
Well. As long as it wasn't blood for the blood god, I'm happy.
No, that was my daughter during gym. You remember that. That's your fault.
They pick up things so well.
Yeah, like, Gamera, have I ever mentioned that story to you?
You have.
Yeah, okay. I'm fairly certain I had. It was just like, oh, God.
Why don't you regale the viewers with that one?
No, we're not regaling the viewers with it. Wizen, he essentially decided to threaten someone with bodily harm, in this case myself, to a very high level.
Oof.
So he told his teacher that he was going to hurt you?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, not the weirdest conversation we've had with the school, but definitely not the nicest. So
I'll be honest. Push comes to shove, I think you can take him.
Yeah, Wizen. Instead of so and so, that would be me. yeah. Let's go. All right. So let's talk about some Star Wars. All right. Let's go into a little bit of information that the viewers and Gamera, you may be helpful to. All right. Now, most people understand that there is a light and a dark side to the Force. All right. Both sides have their advantages and disadvantages. All right. Dark side is allowing you to embrace your emotion, explore your emotion. Unfortunately, it's also falling into your emotion to such an extent that you don't regulate it at all and do horrifying things with the overwhelming emotion of not just yourself, but the entire galaxy going in your head.
Yes.
All right? This is not like your stereotypical human being like, hey, I'm having a little bit of trouble controlling my emotions. No, this is the entire galaxy going, hey, I'm going to mess with your brain in such a way that you will totally go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and just start murdering people because you think it's fun. All right? That's the dark side of the Force. Its upside is that, yeah, you get a little bit more personal freedom. It's all about, that aspect of, existence. The light side of the Force is all about compassion, helping people, doing the right thing, all that jazz, and not letting your emotions overwhelm you. The downside of it is it's very standoffish. It's very, kind of in the back. You don't really do much. Like you try not to basically let your emotions guide you too much, even though they constantly say feel your way through this. You know, let your feelings guide you. It's like, guys, which one is it?
Basically, they're about as big a hypocrite as you can possibly get.
Yeah, I will fully admit that the Jedi are hypocrites. But with that being said, we're gonna go into a little bit of a history lesson before we get too far into this. Now, the discussion. I'm convinced that all Star Wars is written from a knee-jerk Jedi point of view. Any impartial viewer would find more than these cookie-cutter villains as examples of Sith characters. There are actual sane Sith characters in the books. Alright? Lucas is not good at writing.
Yes, evidence to that is how your villains think it's a good idea to turn on each other in a galactic war.
Yeah. Oh, we got Haru today.
Oh, as I forgot to do it.
Skulls for the Skull Throne! Blood for the Blood God!
Alright, so we're going to go into a little bit of a history lesson. Thank you, Harun, for the hype thing and the check-ins. And Ulcers, of course, there as well. I should probably give him a quick shout-out, because you are also streaming.
Right on.
So there is that. Alright, so Gamera's here. We're kind of somewhat educating him more on the finer points, because you know all the basic points.
Yeah, I mean, my Star Wars background is I've seen the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy and like 2/3 of the sequel trilogy.
You're not missing much with the last one.
That's what I've heard. I've played some of the video games. I've read some of the expanded universe novels and comic books. But, like, the Old Republic era is not something I have a lot of experience with. So that gives me kind of a detached perspective from the heyday of the Jedi versus the Sith Empire, really.
All right. So, do you know how the Jedi and the Sith started?
It's probably something that I have come across before, but give me the recap, the Cliff's Notes.
All right. So, on a planet, a bunch of people started developing abilities. They then broke into two camps. One was light side of the Force, one was dark side, and they worked together for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, a civil war broke out between the Jedi and the Sith. And in which case, the Jedi won, they expelled the Sith off planet, and the Sith went flying into space to go find someplace else to hang out at. They found Korriban, which became their homeworld because they realized there were other dark side users here. And they started mingling in with the local populace, like you do when you, colonize a place.
They did not colonize. They improved. There's a difference.
If there were already inhabitants, it's colonizing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's colonizing, my dude. All right. And they intermingled genetically with the local populace.
Mm-hmm.
Because the local populace was stronger with the dark side of the Force, but they were not as skilled.
Okay.
Unlike the guys who came there. So eventually, after thousands of years, the two groups eventually interacted again and created a war. Well, that was the second Jedi Sith war. All right. That occurred. The Jedi won again. The Sith kind of recessed themselves back into non-existence.
Wait a second. Hold on. Wait a second. If I remember right, I think you might. Wait, are you referring to when they ran off into the wild space?
No, this is pre-Revan. They went and hid. They didn't go into wild space. They just hid.
No. Hold on. From what I remember from the MMO, it states that the Republic tried to genocide the Sith, and as a result, the Sith Emperor ran off with a handful of Sith and a couple of loyal fanatics, started up the Sith Empire again in unknown space, built up his empire, and then rightfully, after having nearly been genocided, came back in the timeline of the MMO and rightly went, "You damn near genocided us. Time for some payback."
You're getting a little bit ahead. All right,
Sorry.
because you missed a part in the middle. All right, so the Sith went off. The Emperor did his thing. He did build an empire on Roman cause, all that jazz. That is true. Then the Republic had another fight on their hands, and that was the Mandalorian War, where Revan decided, and this is the plot of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic, which I know Gamera has played.
Yes.
All right, so that whole game occurs. The reason why Revan became corrupted is him and Malik ran into the Emperor. And he corrupted them. The first Emperor. Not Palpatine, but another guy.
Mm-hmm.
Alright? So he corrupted Revan and Malik. Sent them back. All kinds of kooky bad stuff happened. And we fast forward to the Old Republic video game. Alright? Where the third Jedi Sith War occurs. Alright? So we have 3 now. Alright? Every time there's a Jedi Sith War, the Sith are always the aggressors. They always are the invaders. Alright? And to give you an idea how bad the Jedi Sith War, the third one, was, they bombed Coruscant.
Mm-hmm.
And succeeded. Like, straight up, like, bombed them back to where the Jedi Temple could not exist anymore on Coruscant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that level of holy crap. Because that happened, the Jedi moved off that world to Tython, and basically built a nice little temple there, started training people. The Sith retook Korriban, and started building the Sith Academy there. And the rest is relatively history. You eventually find the Emperor in the video game. You whoop his butt. All that jazz. And even on the Sith side, you still help whoop his butt.
Mm-hmm.
Alright? Because everybody has self-preservation instincts. And the first Emperor's goal was to kill all life in the galaxy, absorb his essence, become a god, and then remake the galaxy in his image.
Yeah, the first Emperor kind of went a little... Well, I'd say maniacal, but even the maniacal are like, hey.
That's a little much. This is a little much, man. Like, because he had already done it on a smaller scale, where he killed everything on a planet. And he used the energy from killing everything on a planet and absorbing that life essence to become almost immortal. He couldn't die from age. So, like, this dude is old as crap.
Yeah.
Alright? So eventually, you deal with him, you take him out. You find Revan in, like, you know, basically a stasis chamber. Bob's your uncle, you release him. All kinds of fun stuff happens, alright? The rest is what you know from the movies. There's not a lot of books between the Old Republic and the movies, so you're not missing much there.
Right.
They didn't really cover that.
Yeah, they've sort of intentionally left that space blank.
Yeah, it's like, input your own dumb thing here. It's like, okay, thanks. That's really helpful. Thanks, guys. Whatever. It's just like, this is weird. With that being said, now that we've caught up with the movies and things of that nature, let me skip ahead of the movies and we get to after the movies. Alright? Actually, no. Before we do that, we have the basis of comparison. Now, Inquisition, you can put in your argument for why the Sith are not wrong.
Okay. So, I'll start with looking... I will start with the MMO and a little bit of Knights of the Old Republic, because it's been a long time since I played the game, My memory might be a little fuzzy on that area.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
So, it's fine. So, long story short, in Knights of the Old Republic, you find out that Revan isn't as evil as everyone seems to think he is. He's trying to build up an army, and he tries to convert the Jedi that he's captured by talking through it with them. Like by talking to them, whereas his apprentice resorted to simply, I'll torture you until you give in. Which he does with Bastila? Was it?
Yeah, Bastila.
Bastila. He does that with Bastila, however,
Construction is that it requires planning.
I fully admit I was an annoying
Loved seeing things become something.
annoying so-and-so, because I know Ruby has people that could
attracted me to InGen.
likely ask questions if I were to use certain words. To her, when she tries to tell you, I had a dream about this place, you were in it, I think it's the Force telling us to go here to get the map, so on and so forth. Anyway, long story short, you then find out that Revan actually knew the Sith Empire was there, and he was trying to build up an army of Force users to combat it. That shows two things. One, when he met the Sith Emperor, he did fall, but he had his mind on a higher prize. That of, I may be a Sith now, however there's another group of Sith who are true Sith. Let's not forget here. They were proper Sith. Not Revan's, well, I'd say
Rated.
Woo!
Raid.
Yeah, Raid. It's Golden
As I was
Games.
trying to tell you, there are no bullets
Thank you,
left.
Golden Games, for the game. We appreciate it. Alright, sorry, Inquisition. Continue.
Okay, so, as I was saying, the old Sith Empire was a far more useful one because of the following reasons. One, you didn't have any of this rule of two stupidity, where if you just got lucky, you could beat your master and you don't even know a tenth of the knowledge your master has. But the upside is, with everybody being a Sith, speaking of which, by the by, the Jedi were kind of a little on the, well, I'd say race. Would racist apply? Speciest?
You're talking about the Jedi being speciest or the Sith?
The Jedi. They were a bit on the speciest side.
So
because
if
if I recall,
Sith was worse.
if I recall right, they were the ones who insisted that the Sith species, because there is an actual Sith species, it's not just a philosophy, it's an actual race of people.
Yes, they're red-skinned people.
Yeah.
Red-skinned humanoids.
But what were you saying that the Jedi were insisting about the Sith race?
They insisted that the Sith race had to be genocided because they are the Sith. This is despite the fact there's a group called the Night Sisters who openly use the dark side of the Force, and the Jedi are just like, nah, you're good. Just to call yourself a Sith and everything's fine.
So let me ask I guess a follow-up question on that point. Do we know that the Jedi actually did that, or is that what the Sith say the Jedi did?
That is what the Sith say. There's never been any Jedi in any book, any show, any movie, any game that says, let's genocide the Sith. Or say, or they should all be killed, or anything like that. Usually, what the Jedi comes out of the Jedi's mouth, 9 times out of 10, has been, let us contain it. Like, let them be in their section of, the galaxy, and let's keep them contained so that they don't come out and do damage to the rest.
Which, if you think about it, is not very wise. If you're going to contain someone, you're essentially stating to that person, you don't deserve to be out among the rest of the galaxy, so we're going to contain you and bottle you up.
That's true, but they're not necessarily doing that on a racial basis. They're doing that on the philosophical basis. They view their philosophy as that inherently dangerous, which could be right or wrong from a neutral outsider perspective.
I've been having issues with OBS trying to get it to work. I finally got it to work. I will disappear for a second to do my thing.
All right, quick thing. Harun says, I thought the council said they wanted to purge the dark side at one point. That is true, but they said purge the dark side as an ideology, not a race.
Right.
So their goal is, it's much like fascism versus other forms of government. They want to get rid of it, but they don't want to kill everyone who practices it. Like the end goal is to get rid of the ideology, not kill everyone who has it.
Right, and that can be a very fine line distinction. How do you get rid of a philosophy without killing its practitioners? Well, you can do intense, long-term persuasive efforts, but yeah,
All right.
certainly that they do not demonstrate a tolerance for the Sith as a philosophy, and at least the Sith claim that the Jedi tried to exterminate the Sith race.
Now, in defense, excuse me. God damn.
And I just started streaming, so excuse me for repeating what was said earlier. I am chatting to Ruby and Candid Camera in regard to the Star Wars debate.
Yes.
So, in defense of the Jedi and some of the things they're doing, I will say this when it comes to the Sith, all right? Because let us be brutally honest about this, all right? The Jedi have a reason for doing what they're doing. I'm not saying it's completely right, but it does make sense. And that is, hey, these guys, every time we don't keep them in check, they decide to go on a galaxy-wide rampage and just start murdering people. Even each other.
Right.
That's an example of bad writing, I think.
I mean, bad writing is still writing.
Are we debating the version of the Jedi and the Sith that appear in the canon, or the idealized version in our own heads?
Yeah, I'm arguing on behalf of the canon and the expanded universe. Those are the two I'm going with. Is those two. So that's what I'm aiming for here.
And I will just tag on to say that, yes, absolutely, the Jedi Order, as we saw it, especially in the prequel trilogy, had clearly become an organization that didn't know what its own purpose was. They were essentially an assemblage of superpowered bureaucrats. They really had sort of lost their way because they just didn't handle anything well at all through the prequel trilogy. They got played for saps, and part of that was, I think, the Jedi philosophy. But I also think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, the earlier versions of the Jedi philosophy weren't quite so, you must never have emotion, you must be robot, and more, about emotional control.
That is true. The early version was emotional control, but by the time we reach the prequel trilogy, it's more robotic. Instead of controlling your emotion, it's
suppressing.
Not only that, but in in what you just said, you see, what was Anakin's master's name again?
Qui-Gon?
You see Qui-Gon openly messing with someone's free will.
Yeah.
Where he says to the person,
I'm going to correct this real quick. Anakin's master was Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's master was Qui-Gon.
Well, Qui-Gon was the one that initially wanted to take on Anakin for training, so maybe he never really got the chance to do so. You can say that Obi-Wan was then Anakin's master, but I assumed that Inquisition was referring to Qui-Gon because I assumed he would remember Obi-Wan's name instantaneously.
That's right.
Right, so you see someone trying to sell him death sticks, and he immediately goes, "You don't want to sell me death sticks."
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's immediate response is, "I don't want to sell you death sticks." The Jedi then continues on, "You want to go home and rethink your life." He repeats that and then goes and does that.
All right. Harun says, if I'm remembering right, the beginning Jedi were more gray-lined. Yes, before the first Sith Jedi War. They were more gray-lined. And then after each subsequent war with the Sith, the Jedi got pushed further and further towards the light side.
And that, I think, yeah, that's kind of the in-universe explanation for that. It's like, oh my god, we keep being reminded about the horrible things that excess emotion can do, and they keep responding to that not by, training or teaching people how to deal with the emotions, but by further engaging in this emotional suppression. Now, some Jedi are clearly more into that than others. There are clearly Jedi who still have their emotions and don't have problems with it. I think Obi-Wan is not terribly suppressed. He expresses himself pretty clearly. He has a deep compassion for fellow living beings, but he's kind of the exception. Then again, we don't spend a lot of time with most of the Jedi in the prequel trilogy. So we don't know, how they react with hours and hours of chances to, demonstrate what their emotional state is, if they tend to be more suppressed. But yeah, I think it is very fair to criticize the Jedi Order, especially at the time of the prequel trilogy, as having gone so far down the emotional suppression path as to do harm.
Yeah, I could agree with that. But, you can understand where it's coming from because, once again, as you said, they're subjected to the same thing over and over and over again, and they're like, yo, guys, maybe this is not such a great idea.
Right. I think the fact that, they essentially kept fighting Sith Wars should have made them go, maybe this approach isn't working. But I think that also the Sith Wars were spaced far enough apart that it was hard to learn the concrete lesson of, yeah, this is history repeating itself, and more like, this is a danger. We have to deal with it. And they didn't really learn the lessons of history so well.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the biggest problem with most of the factions in Star Wars is they just don't learn history worth a dang. Or that all Jedi that snapped and went to the dark side. Yeah, anytime a Jedi basically lost their mind, they fell to the dark side. And that became murderous. And so let's bring that up when it comes to the Sith, all right? The Sith, the ideology, like we brought up before, is about embracing your emotion, using your emotion, and things of that nature. Now, we talked about also the Jedi and how they suppressed it. There were gray Jedi in the expanded universe.
Yeah.
But Disney has subsequently uncanonized the gray Jedi and have stated that gray Jedi cannot exist.
Have they actually come out and said that?
Yeah. Kathleen Kennedy has actually mentioned it at least once. Because someone brought up, is Rey going to become a gray Jedi? And she went, no, gray Jedi cannot exist. You have to be light side or dark side. And I've always had a problem with that. I feel like there should be the few exceptions that are gray-ish. I mean, if you want a good example of the closest thing you could have to gray Jedi now in the canon story, it's, God, what's his name? Mace Windu. Mace Windu's character uses a fighting style that embraces a little bit of that emotion to beat down people. I thought they had hinted told that Luke was being a Grey Jedi. Yes, that was supposed to be hinted. That's what JJ was aiming for, was to hint him as a Grey Jedi. But then Rian Johnson decided to screw the pooch on that one. So there's that. Yeah, removing Grey Jedi eradicates any sense of realism into the world. It's just another WoW. Yeah, pretty much. I can completely agree with that. So it's just like, it aggravates me to no end, because the idea of Grey Jedi was kind of a neat idea. But when you
Not
look
only
at
that, but I have issues with this idea as well, as if you can't have a Grey Jedi, then that implies that something similar to what I did on my very first playthrough with the MMO was, could I actually make a good Sith? Like one who's just not interested in, well, it doesn't matter the fact that we're in a galactic war. Let's just slaughter everything and maybe somehow it'll be alright. What I did was play a guy who tried to do right by the Empire and was generally a good Sith. If you can't have a Grey Jedi, then it obviously implies you can't have a good Sith either.
Yeah, and that's something I do have a problem with, because like in the MMO, like you said, you had a Sith that was good aligned. I'm guessing Inquisitor?
Yes.
I did a good Sith warrior, and yeah, he still killed people, but he was very upfront about it. He was very much like, hey man, I don't kill innocent people if I don't have to, but I will brutally murder anyone who stands against me as like a warrior. Like, there'll be brutal beatdowns, but I won't kill an innocent person. Or like, if someone goes, hey man, I know I betrayed the Empire and everything like that, can you just please let me go? I promise, you'll never hear from me again, whatever. And the dark side option is, you tell him, yeah, you'll let him go, and as soon as he turns his back, you just cut him down. The light side option for that character is very much, no, I can't let you go. You betrayed us. This is justice. Have a nice day. Clunk. Like, you're at least upfront about it.
And the thing is, like, later on in the films, you see that the Jedi have gotten so blind to their own arrogance that they build a temple on top of a Sith temple and actually believe that, no, we're fine. That's not going to affect us in the least.
Yeah. Alright, give us a second. So, welcome back, community. We're sorry that the ads interrupted that. Sorry for the kids in the background as well. So yeah, as Inquisition just pointed out, the Jedi built a temple on top of a Sith temple. And was like, yeah, nothing will happen here. Nothing bad. No, totally not.
It's like, wow. There's arrogant, and then there's just going above and beyond stupidity.
Then there's what happened in Yavin. Yavin was just straight up like, holy shit. Wait, Harun, just this one. To me, Balin in Ahsoka doesn't seem like a typical Sith. While more dark side, he seems to lean more towards the middle, for now anyway. I know, but here's the slight problem. He's dead. The actor who played Balin died.
Roland, reach down the bottom of that.
So, that's the problem. So, he can't come back. And that sucks. Like, real bad sucks. Because that was an interesting character. Oh, yeah. Wyzen just threw down the face hugger. Oh, bloody hell.
It just wants to hug you.
I don't want it.
I'm trying to find the quote from Kathleen Kennedy about Grey Jedi, and I'm not having any luck at the moment, but I do see some people talking about the subject of Grey Jedi more broadly, and they do raise an issue raise the point that Asuka in like the new series,
Ahsoka,
Ahsoka, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Ahsoka.
Yeah, I didn't watch the show. She says that she's not a Jedi, so she's not a Grey Jedi. She's just a Force user with a lightsaber, And that, I think, is perhaps a semantic distinction, but perhaps an important one. So there aren't any such thing as gray Jedi, but there are such things as Force users who are neither Sith nor Jedi.
Yeah, and
that's canon.
Yeah, that's canon. Ahsoka's a great example of that. Another great example is Revan. Revan, it was Jedi. He became Sith. He became Jedi again. And then he eventually left both, and is just a Force user. To also bring up the... what is their goddamn name? The Night Sisters. Alright?
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why the Jedi left the Night Sisters alone is because the Night Sisters were only interested in staying on their one planet. Alright? They want to practice their own religious beliefs. And the Night Sisters tend to be a race of their own, what it seemed like to most people. Yeah, Wizen's right. Why don't you quit, Anakin? Huh? Padme. They can't take your powers away. Just quit the Jedi and hang out with your hot, rich senator wife. That's very accurate. Now,
It is.
I will say this when it comes to the Sith, though. The Sith have this habit of self-destruction. Alright? Because when you look at how the Sith behave when the Jedi are not around, when they don't have a target to hate, to go after, to try to kill, they will turn that inward and start self-destructing. And that is not good for the galaxy.
See, I disagree, and I can pull proof from the MMO.
Okay. But
In
what I'm
the
saying,
MMO,
the
Go ahead.
I was going to say, though, the thing with the MMO, I want to state this before you go into the MMO. The MMO is only a period of, at most, 20 years. Alright? If you look at the entire history of the Sith, then you will see that same pattern. It's self-destruction all the time. That happens a lot in the books. It happens in most of the games. It happens in every movie. It's the Sith, unless they have a target to go after, it's self-destruction. Now, you mentioned the MMO. Here's the thing with the MMO, though. The Sith have a target. It's the Republic. The Republic never completely loses. They never disappear. So they always have a target to go after.
that's why I bring it up. Because even then, the writers go, well, let's have... I don't think I don't think Gamera would know who Thanaton is, would you?
Probably
Nope, doesn't ring a bell.
Wizen said, by the way, if Anakin had quit the Jedi, Padme would have talked him into going to therapy. He never would have lost contact with Luke and Leia. Happy family, the end.
Plus, if you think about it, he was... Sorry, wait, I'm getting distracted. Back to the MMO, then to that.
Yeah.
Thanaton attacks you when you play as the Sith Inquisitor. And he does so under the following pretext. That the Sith need to be kept pure, despite the fact he was apparently arguing with your former master about this, and he didn't do anything to try and stop her from taking a slave, you, as an apprentice and training you up. Now, if he genuinely felt that strong about it, he could have simply stated, I'll kill every slave that comes to Korriban to be trained as an apprentice, and if I don't do it, I'll have my apprentices do it, thus keeping to what he claimed. The Sith being a pure people. However, he didn't do that. Instead, he let slaves come to the Korriban, get trained, be Sith, so on and so forth.
Right.
Even there, and this is part bad writing, part, well, the villain's going to villain because stupid is stupid. I'm sorry, but a good villain doesn't go after their own.
Right.
Plus the fact, like you said earlier, there was a target even then. And yet, Thanaton not only commits treason by sabotaging fuel lines, which were direly needed for the obvious reasons, a spaceship needs fuel of some sort.
Right.
Yet even there, Thanaton does even worse than that. He has his headquarters under the Republic.
Then maybe you should stop banging it off the counter.
Okay,
And
so,
does he... Go ahead.
but here's the thing that we just brought up not that long ago. We are discussing, though, the Sith as they are written, not an idealized version of the Sith. What you're bringing up is an idealized version of the Sith, not what was written. Bad writing is still bad writing. And don't get me wrong, the Republic also has its fair share of bad writing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tag on and say. Like, some of these behaviors we are attributing to the Jedi as negatives can be also, pointed out as bad writing.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if it's bad writing. We are talking about it's still canon. It's still in the story.
Yes, and I agree with... Sorry, go ahead.
And I was going to say, if you want like a good villain for basically the Empire that is not a complete evil sociopath, look at Thrawn. Thrawn is an excellent example of that. He's still evil. He's still doing bad things. But he's not a violent sociopath going for just straight up power.
Get over here.
The only possible issue I would even remotely have with that is he is not a Force user in any way, which personally I find brilliant because you see... So, for example, I once listened to the audiobook of Thrawn. You see how he's got that strategical mind type thinking where he, like for example in Rebels, Ezra has all the Thrawn's people in one area and he tries to threaten Thrawn with do as I ask or I'll kill all your people, and Thrawn responds with, oh, you have all my people there. Fantastic, I can now bombard this planet without losing anybody.
It's like, oh shit. Yeah, it's... But let's talk about the Force users, though, because like I said, the Sith are not entirely wrong, is your argument. The argument I'm making is they are, like, not everything they say is bad, but in general, they are not a good force to have around. Alright?
Oh, I agree with that, actually. They're not a good force to have around. Just look at how they train, for a start.
Yeah, like, hi, we're just gonna start murdering our own trainees and survival of the fittest. Whoever lives gets to be a Sith. Nah, that's not good. I mean, it has to be something when you are a Force user in the Sith Empire and you got found out for being a Force user, your parents freak out and try to smuggle you out of the damn Empire.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not a good thing. It's not like the Jedi where, yeah, your parents get a little bit pissed off that you're getting grabbed, but they don't fear for your life going there.
No, they don't. Although I'm willing to bet there was more than one case of, you want to give me your child. Why am I waving my hand in front of you? Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
no.
the Jedi definitely have some suspect recruitment practices.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I will totally agree that both sides have suspect recruitment practices, because like at least with the Jedi, your parents get to live if they say no, because they'll just convince the parent to give you over to them. Yeah, they're using some suspect abilities, but your parents get to live. The Sith are like, oh, you said no? Awesome. We're killing you and your entire family other than, the one person we want.
Yeah, and just I guess to kind of boil this down a little bit, the Jedi represent, especially in their later years, control, and the Sith represent a total anarchy, individualistic anarchy, which is what ultimately I think leads to the rule of two, because if there are more than two, it just devolves into horrible infighting and bullshit. And with two, it still devolves into horrible infighting and bullshit. But the fallout is a little more limited.
Yeah, it's a little bit more contained. It's
Okay.
like, hey, we're only losing a battleship, maybe two. We'll be fine. It's unlike the standard old Sith Empire was like, hey, what happened to the 7th Fleet? Oh right, Darth Venerus and Darth Batarian decided to just duke it out. And we lost an entire fleet? Yeah, we lost the entire fleet. Okay.
Yeah, one of the issues I have with that, the rule of two, is that, say you're the master, right? Say you've taken on an apprentice. Fantastic. The order will get to live on after you die, either from old age or from teaching your apprentice everything, and they then rightly turn on you. But even Darth Bane, the one who created the rule of two, saw the flaw in this. And that is, one, what if your apprentice decides to just wait till you die of old age? Or two, what if your apprentice just gets freaking lucky and kills you by sheer luck? Then you have an apprentice who doesn't have anywhere near the proper knowledge of the Sith, knows how to recognize things like Sith holocrons and stuff like that. Plus, when Bane started doing this, none of the other Sith entities who were alive after death were okay with it. None of them liked that. Not one.
I mean, fair.
You know those RPG games, so like you make a selection and it says on the bottom of the screen like X people like that, X number of people didn't like that, and then at the very, like, if you make the really wrong decision, it says everybody hated that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what happened with Bane. He goes, I'm going to institute this rule where there's only 2 of us ever at one time, and like at the bottom of his little screen it says every Sith in the galaxy hated that.
Well, here's the other thing about the rule of 2 that I feel is important to note. It was never actually adhered to at any fucking point.
That is also true.
There were never just 2 Sith.
Yeah.
So it was more of a guideline.
It's a guideline.
And I think, the idea of the Sith, having this self-imposed rule just doesn't work, because that's not what they do. The Jedi do rules. The Sith don't do rules. So, honestly, it makes me question, like, was Darth Bane even serious about this? Or was it something that he wanted to be believed by external factors? So if they killed 2 Sith, they're like, oh, I guess we got them all.
Yeah, we
was
got
this
them all.
essentially just like kayfabe to make people think, okay, this is a true fact about the Sith, and manipulate them on that basis? Because, in the extended universe, like, oh, okay, the Emperor's apprentice is Darth Vader. Is he? He's had several, not necessarily all at the same time. Was there any overlap between Darth Maul and Darth Tyrannus? Not sure. But I do know in the novels you had Mara Jade, Hand of the Emperor, and I guess she's technically not his apprentice, but she might as well be.
Yeah, I mean, she was learning an awful lot about the Force for,
So, yeah, it's basically the rule of 2, I think, could have made sense, and you could have said, well, the thing that keeps the apprentice from killing the master is the idea that the master hasn't taught them everything that they know yet. Once, but then that's also relying on the apprentice to behave in a rational manner, which
no.
It's a Sith.
They're not going to do.
Right.
Yeah. So, I would say in this case, the Sith are not inherently right. They are not right for the most part. Does this mean the Jedi are right? No, but I'm saying, like, I can understand why the Jedi are very much like, yo, we need to get rid of these guys so that the rest of us don't get just murdered in our sleep.
And I would probably come down on the side of they're both kind of fucked organizations, and probably which one you consider more fucked depends on what you consider worse: mass murder or the occasional bit of mind control. Because that is probably, I think, the worst sin of the Jedi Order in terms of just like horrible violations of other people. The Jedi mind trick, especially as Inquisition noted that Qui-Gon uses it in the prequel trilogy. That's a violation. Now, do Sith use the Jedi mind trick? I don't know examples off the top of my head, but
There is some examples in the MMO of you doing it,
okay.
though.
And there are a few examples in the books. It doesn't happen often because usually the Sith version of the Jedi mind trick is, oh, hi, are you not doing what I tell you? Awesome, I'm going to choke you.
That's true. I mean, they do often resort more to violence than... It's like, why persuade when I can just kill and deal with someone more pliable?
Yeah.
So, yeah, both of them have some fucked ethics there.
Yeah.
But I would say that if you sat me down at a table and said, pick one of these two sides as better, it's probably going to be the Jedi, just because with the Jedi, assuming you don't have the Sith opposing them, they're not really going to do shit. They're just going to sit back, twiddle their thumbs, clean their robes. They don't do anything. They're not ambitious. It's stable. So yeah, I think the Jedi are easier to live in the same galaxy with.
By the way, Daryl, thank you for showing up and for the check-ins. I always try to do the shouts best I can. Harlan says, and to make it worse, they say it's only able to be used on the weak-minded.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, the Force choke is only able to be used on the weak-throated.
This is what should scare you more, all right? Because this was in the video games, but it was also in several of the books as canon, all right? There's a variant of the Force choke that literally will rupture someone's lungs.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I mean, that just seems excessive.
Well, Eisen goes, history is written by the winners, and that the Jedi come off as harmless compared to the Sith is incredibly suspect.
I mean,
I wouldn't say harmless.
right. And it's not the history that we're relying on. It's their actual, like, events of the movies, the books. Like, you don't have a Jedi go on a murderous rampage.
No.
I also think it's sort of telling that, like, you'll have a Jedi fall to the dark side if they go crazy, but you don't really see a lot of Sith going crazy and falling to the light side.
Yeah, usually if they go crazy, they just get a little bit worse.
Yeah, and not only that, but moving forward a bit to the movies, the Republic actually used the Jedi to force people and nations or could you really call planet a nation?
Details. Same thing.
Well, all right. Not only that, but you see the Jedi being used as nothing more than soldiers in a war against, and the clue is in the name, separatists. The Jedi went out of the way to start fighting these people, and not only that, but the Emperor openly states to his new apprentice, I want peace, will end this destructive war. And he gets that. He actually orchestrates it so that happens.
But
Whether or
he
not he was the one
orchestrated...
that caused that is irrelevant.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You are leaving out the most important detail.
There's kind of an important section of that conversation, my dude, that you
When
missed.
the guy who started the war says, all I want is peace, you cannot take that at face value.
Not to mention he's also controlling both sides of the war.
Yes. And I believe he's even the force that applies political pressure to the Jedi to get more involved.
Yep.
So, yeah, the Jedi, minus 50 points for being political dupes and patsies. They got played. But the Sith are doing the playing.
Yeah, it's like, yo, dog. It's like...
Okay, you know what? As you've mentioned that, how blind are the Jedi? There's only one Sith Master. I think we all can say that's a guarantee.
No, because once again, as Camera pointed out, there's always been more than 2 Sith, and there has been multiple masters at several points.
Okay, let me phrase that differently. In the movies, there was one Sith master.
Yes, only one that we knew about.
Yeah.
Only one that we
Right.
see.
That's all that matters for what I want to state here.
Okay.
He is right in front of several Jedi repeatedly, and not only that, he's openly talking to the Chosen One about the dark side of the Force, and he's bringing up Sith. That it's like, what? Wait, hold on. Why aren't any of you just looking at him and going, "Wait a minute. You've got the dark side emanating off you."
I thought that there was dialogue to support that basically he was cloaking his power. Like he was doing the, oh god, what's the power name where you sort of suppress your own, like, force signature?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's just force suppression.
I didn't know that was a thing, actually. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's on my part there.
yeah, it's detailed in the various role-playing game incarnations, but you see it in the movies with Luke in Episode 8.
Yeah.
Because Rey says that she can sense the Force flowing through everything on this planet except Luke.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the newer movies.
That's fair.
That's fair. But also in the newer books, not the new ones with the canon, I'm talking about the extended universe, there were several examples where people were suppressing their force powers. One of the things that was mentioned was Leia unintentionally was suppressing her power. That's why Vader didn't recognize her as being a force user, despite being right in front of her.
Yeah.
She was unintentionally using a survival trick to stay alive. So, emanating the Force from you is something you can suppress if you figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're allowed to do that at the same time as you're actively using other force powers.
Right.
So, like, if you see somebody throwing lightning and say, I'm not detecting any bad evil force from him, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no. It's like, what?
Yeah, the Emperor's choking me with his mind, but I don't sense any dark side. Wonder how he's doing it. But I think it's either or. You can either suppress your powers or use them. You can't do both at the same moment.
Right. Ezra and Kanan, whatever the friggin' hell his name is from Rebels. He also, give me a second. Okay, I've mute licensed music. Good. I want to make sure with this game I muted the licensed music so I don't get copyright striked. Shut up! Don't do it! God damn it, YouTube. But no, Ezra and Kanan also had made mention that they were suppressing their force powers in several episodes. To like hide from the Inquisitors. Because the Inquisitors had force abilities.
Yes.
And so they would be trained to hunt down Jedi. Now, there's an example of technically being an apprentice while not being an apprentice at the same damn time.
Yeah.
All right? And we can thank the new canon for those guys. Because they didn't exist in Legends. Vader was the only Jedi hunter that had force powers in Legends. Because what Legends did was they did Imperial hunters that would hunt down Jedi, but they would use gadgets and devices and all kinds of fun little kooky stuff to deal with a Force user.
Okay, so can we get round to the Inquisitors and how they use their double-bladed lightsaber to helicopter away?
That's ridiculous. That is so ridiculous. Like,
Does
why?
that happen in the Obi-Wan show?
No, not in the Obi-Wan show. But it does happen in Rebels, and it does happen in Clone Wars.
I'm just so amused picturing it.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so
It is insanely difficult, and it's not even like you would think. Okay, maybe it's a short range. You know, they could just enhance their jump just a little bit. No, these little buggers are like like flying away like a goddamn helicopter. Even getting lift.
That's just so absurd.
Like, what the heck is this?
I remember seeing that and just thinking, hold on, I know nothing about physics, but I'm fairly sure your lightsaber can't lift you into the air.
No, not like that. No. Because if you ever look at a helicopter blade or propeller blade from like a prop aircraft, the blade has a similar shape to a wing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's designed so that way it could displace the air in a direction that gives you lift. Just spinning two little tubes as fast as you humanly can go won't give you any lift. It will displace the air both above and below it at equal levels, which means you effectively have accomplished nothing and you're going to fall to your death.
Especially when you're talking about a blade that is essentially super hot plasma.
Yeah, it's not even there.
It's not even physically pressing against the air. It is at best superheating it.
That might have worked if like there was a giant balloon above it.
Sure, yeah.
It's like, what the hell? Oh, we got another ad break. So, I'm going to mention this to you guys as well as the subscribers. I have now put on my Twitter a vote. And that vote, I'm going to put it in chat so that the chat people can see it too. Force balloon. I love our force balloon. Naja is going to be joining us next week, or aka her other name is Not Your Goth Mom, and we're going to be educating her on 40k. She has picked 4 factions she is interested in learning about. All right, I have not given her any indication of what these factions are, what they do, other than their names. All right, the factions are as follows: the Gene Stealers, the Blood Angels, the Dark Eldar, and the Chaos Space Marines. I looked at her and was like, are you sure you want to do this? And she goes, why? I was like, you are really diving into the deep end on this one. Like, really diving in.
Especially with the Space Marines. I mean...
Yeah, that's like, oh no.
Ooh, that's... Ooh.
Alright, so for those of you who have come back, welcome back. I'm bringing up something with Naja Kale where I shared that... What the hell's going on with this? Okay, okay, that's not going to work. Can I go this way? Yes. Alright. Sorry, I got to increase the size of this little area just by like a hair. Because I need to be able to fix something here. Because I need a little bit more space. Yeah, they really are space wizards. Oh, yeah. The Jedi are space wizards. It is just... What the hell, man? If I'm going to say anything about the Jedi in this regard, when it comes to the helicopter of doom, I would like to basically state now that whoever came up with that idea seriously needs to go back to school and at least learn high school physics.
Honestly, the thing that comes to mind with me is if you remember the Simpsons episode where they have Itchy and Scratch and they introduce Poochie and he just sort of floats off into the air at the end because nobody likes him anymore. My home planet needs me.
I must go now.
Yeah.
And it's just...
My people have requested my presence. My people need me. Whee!
So, yeah, just... Oh, man.
Oh,
that is...
I have to agree with Howrun on this one. Force running is odd too, and the jumping.
I mean, less so for me.
Like, I don't see it as incredibly odd, but I see it like slightly odd. Like, it's not as bad as the helicopter of doom.
Oh no. The way I see the force running and jumping is sort of a twofold process. One, you're essentially applying your telekinetic powers to yourself to some degree, and two, you're using the force to enhance your own muscles. So you're getting more power and perhaps better reaction time from them. So I get like force run, force jump. That doesn't ping my sci-fi bullshit radar, perhaps as hard as some others.
Yeah, my sci-fi radar went into meltdown with the damn helicopter blades.
Yeah.
It was like, why? How is this a thing?
See, to be honest, when I saw it, I just sat there going,
Really?
well, if the Inquisition had any of let me be very clear. If the Inquisition of Star Wars had any clout, it's now whirled away as you floated away.
It's like, my people need me. It's like, let's Mary Poppins this shit. It's like, what the hell?
Grand Inquisitor Mary Poppins.
Oh, God.
Darth Poppins.
Darth Poppins.
No.
To me, jumping is a bit more believable, but flash speed is a bit much.
I mean, I don't think I've ever... I mean, and I haven't seen everything. I don't think I've ever seen them run like Sonic speed.
I think he's referring to episode 1, where Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan decided to pull essentially a Roadrunner, and when the droids were attacking them, and just went like Mach 3 down the hall.
It's been so long since I've seen the scene, I don't remember a good impression of how fast they were moving.
It was a blur. Let's see if I could find it real quick. Let's see. Qui-Gon, Jinn, and Obi-Wan.
Run away! Run away!
Run from droids. I know they run from the droids. Yeah, here we go. Obi-Wan versus the Trade Federation droids. I want to make sure this is the right video, so give me a second. I'm going to find the right clip. Fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. He's breaking through the door. Give me a second. Yep, okay, there it is. Alright, so I'm going to share it at the timestamp on Discord under photo dump. Alright. And if it doesn't do it right, it's 3 minutes, 2 seconds in.
Okay.
I will share this also in chat, so that way the viewers can also watch with us.
Okay,
Alright,
so Oreo Nava just pointed out something. Mary Poppins is not in a Time Lord, just not a Jedi.
Alright. In defense of Mary Poppins and everything like that, I feel like she would probably be more likely to be a Jedi than a Sith. But...
Well, of course, because... Sorry, I'll let you finish.
I was like, because her emotional state is not that unstable. For the most part.
Yeah, but, I mean, in most cases, if she was endowed with the Force, I think we all know she'd join the Jedi for a different reason. You want to do as I've asked you to do.
I mean, maybe, but she seems to convince people just fine without the Force powers.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Like
Okay.
You see what I mean now?
I've looked at the footage. It does look fast, but I don't think it's supersonic fast. It is faster than I would plausibly allow for them. So
For
if
I was gonna
if
say,
I'm
go ahead.
okay, go ahead. I was going to say if I'm using my brain to try and bend over backwards to make the movies not dumb, what I would suggest is maybe they're also using their force powers to blur themselves in the perceptions of those like around. Essentially, they're blurring the light coming off their bodies to make it harder to hit them. But you're right; they do go blurry.
They did go blurry, and like the one video I saw a long time ago, which was just straight up hilarious, was someone applied Looney Tunes sound effects to the first Star Wars movie. And that one was the Roadrunner sound effect of meep meep gone.
Of course.
I was like, I was expecting that or Speedy Gonzalez. I wasn't sure which one I was gonna get, and I was not disappointed either way.
Right now,
Horror says, I think I've seen that one too. It's such a, like, because it's not the whole movie. It's just like little fun little snippets of the movie where they're just like, here's a Looney Tunes sound effect to just make that work. And it's just like, what are we watching? Why is this a thing? Oh my god, this is too goddamn funny. Oh my god. No, my problem with that whole little clip, though, that snippet, is acceleration. They go from a standstill to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little much for me. And just, it drives me up a wall. It really does annoy me, and I'm like, why? Why did they do this?
Perhaps they did it to irritate you.
Nah,
Specifically you.
I'm not that special. God damn. Like, there are times where my ego may be that big, but I'm don't believe I am that important in reality that a major movie studio goes, yeah, let's piss off this one guy. Like, screw this man in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nah. Oh my god.
Alright, so I know this is jumping the gun a bit, and if you'd rather we save this till later, I'm okay with that. In regard to the newer movies, the three under Disney, I still maintain that if a certain someone wanted a new last name,
Oh no.
she should have went with someone else's, like you
Yeah.
pointed out.
Yeah, not. All right. So, Gamera, I believe you've heard this whole little story.
Doesn't ring a bell?
All right.
Give me some.
All right. So, you know how Rey didn't have a family,
Right.
and in the first movie, was it freaking,
Force Awakens.
Darth Emo,
Yeah.
decided that you tell her, it's like, hey, your parents were junkers. Don't get me wrong. Adam, what is it, Driver, whatever his last name is?
Driver.
Yeah, great actor, love his work. And he did a good job at Kylo Ren, don't get me wrong. He worked with what he had, alright? And he did a good job doing it. But, in the first movie, he points out that, her family were a group of junkers, sold her for water, da-da-da-da-da. Second movie, we don't get any indication of what the heck is going on with her family, but no one really cares.
Well, in the second movie, Snoke shows her that vision of, like, your parents are nobody important, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It's just repeating the stuff from the first movie. Then the third movie comes around, and we find out that Rey is the granddaughter of Palpatine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's problematic.
I'm sorry, but I find that idea just You expect me to believe that Palpatine lost either the clone of himself, who was out there trying to find somebody to reproduce with, or his kid? Either way, for a man who sent off enough lightning to attack an entire fleet from one point on a planet.
Not to mention,
And-
he had the foresight, even in the old series, to know of all the big threats coming for a long time.
Yes, and not just that, but I have questions on how he survived that giant moon's explosion because, well, one, didn't you die twice? Technically, you were thrown down at what looked like an endless shaft, and then the place that endless shaft was connected to exploded, and that's before...
Let's be brutally honest. That endless shaft, by the way, was going straight to the reactor.
Guys, they covered this. In the last movie, they said somehow the Emperor returned.
Yeah.
That doesn't
That's
cover
all I
anything. Okay, no, I need a little more than that. And that's before you get to the stupid, moronic thing about the dagger.
Dagger?
Oh.
Yeah, there was apparently a dagger that he left behind that would give you a hint on where he was.
Oh God.
Why are we Indiana Jonesing this shit?
So I do want to reference old extended universe stuff. Shadows of the Empire comic book series had the return of the Emperor, after the events of Death Star 2. And Harun is very damn close to it. Essentially, cloned bodies that he could will himself into. So you kill one, he goes to his backup.
Yeah, essentially. That makes more sense than the shit they did in the movie. Because that whole Shadows of the Empire thing is no longer canon. It's just like, God damn, guys, come on. And it's so frustrating. It's just like, why? Why is this a thing? Why can't we have, just be like, yeah, he cloned himself, leave the clone idea, it's cool, go with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It worked. And the funny thing is, then there was what they did in Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is also now canon. Which was when the Emperor died, a bunch of droids suddenly activated. And they had a holographic projector on their face that would put up a holographic projection of him that would give his final orders to the Empire on the event of his death. Which isn't terrible. It's not a bad idea. But here's where the problem happens. Those final orders were, hey, start murdering all Imperial citizens.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah. Okay. I have to question this as well. I'm sorry to bring up things, Gamera, that you're not aware of, and you're probably going to go, wait, what? Again?
Hey, that's most of Star Wars for me.
Palpatine was clearly a clever person. I think we can all agree on that at least.
At least from the prequel movies, yeah.
Sure.
Right. Then explain to me how having space-faring ships under ice on a planet in a single system is a good idea. Wouldn't someone who was smart enough to trick the entire galaxy into giving him enough power to declare himself an emperor? Like, wait, hold on. You're telling me this guy had them all on one planet in the one system? Wouldn't you have at least gone, hold on, you might want to spread that out a bit. Like, just in case. I don't know, the one system you have some of them on gets attacked by, I don't know, a couple of 100,000 ships.
Yeah.
For example, as a non-specific, just off the top of my head example.
Yeah, just totally non-specific. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. It's totally a non-specific example. I have no clue what you're discussing. Like, I could never think of such a thing. That, totally doesn't make sense to me. Like, oh God! Whoever would have thought that? It's one of the things that really aggravates me with Disney uncanifying the extended, Legends universe. But at the same time, I get why they did it.
Yeah.
Because there was a bunch of conflicting shit. And I get that. And that's okay, that's fine.
Well, and I also think that once Disney got their hands on it, they're like, okay, we want to do a sequel trilogy. Oh shit, they've already covered the period after the fall of the Empire pretty thoroughly. Do we try to work around this, or do we hit a reset button? And the lazy, easy answer was hit a reset button.
Yeah, the only problem with that is the reset button sucked.
Yeah.
There was a few issues with the reset button there.
Yes.
I know I recall when, what was his name? The Stormtrooper guy.
Finn?
Yes. I know when they showed you teasers of him, I think it was getting the blood stain on his helmet and then him taking it off.
Mm-hmm.
And people were going crazy because, wait a minute, does this mean we're going to get to see what it's like for the Stormtroopers who are not clones? Because, well, the Jedi used clones, which technically speaking, would that count as child soldiers? I mean...
No, because they were fully grown. And they were adults.
Yeah.
Because it took them 10 years to grow to maturity. But they still were... Because there's plenty of species in Star Wars that the lifespan is very short. So in this case, it's more of... For adulthood in Star Wars is more of mental acuity versus physical age.
All right. So, anywho, even I was beginning to get excited for this because of the idea that, we'll get to see what it's like from the knockoff Empire's point of view, or whatever this is that's left of the Empire. Then they quickly just had him join the rebels and was completely woo! Every time they killed one of the stormtroopers or whatever the other troopers were, and I just thought, hold on, you used to be them.
I definitely would have liked to see more, how do I put it? Conflicting stuff with him involving that. That, I agree with you, that could have been an interesting thing. AP is here! Woo!
Yeah, Finn honestly was one of the characters that I was most intrigued by when we started getting the previews, and I feel like the second sequel trilogy movie just whizzed it down their leg. I mean, he got this meaningless side plot, and we really didn't get to see him do much. I haven't seen the third movie. Maybe he picks up some extra plot points there, but here's the one bit of concrete praise I will give the sequel trilogy. The three main characters, I like all of them. I think Rey is good. I think Finn is good. I think Poe is good.
I don't dislike all three characters. All right, this is me slightly disagreeing with you, but not in the way you'll think. All right, I don't dislike all three characters. I feel they were all underutilized or not utilized in the correct way. because their build-up and their backstory left a lot of interesting things they could have done that they just never did. Like with Finn, there is that whole fighting against your former comrades thing and making it more meaningful. With Poe, they just shat all over him in the second movie. They turned him into an arrogant hothead that had no sense of tactics.
Well, it's not even that. I have so many things I could say about The Last Jedi. It hurts me so much on so many levels. And Poe really got the short end of the stick. Like, Finn's story was meaningless. Rey's was just, like, kind of garbled. But I felt like Poe... Everything Poe does in that movie feels like something a Star Wars character would do. It's like, oh, we're getting fucked by this giant dreadnought. We've got some bombs. Let's make a daring fighter raid and drop these bombs. Even though we're somehow using gravity-dropped bombs in outer space. Apparently we forgot how to make missiles.
And this is the thing that drives me up the wall with that whole fighter scene, okay? I would have been okay with it if in the previous technology, like, say, during the Rebellion era, during the Republic era, whatever, you had seen something that does the same effect. Like, it drops bombs down.
Mm-hmm.
The only time we ever see anything like that is a TIE bomber dropping charges on asteroids to try to flush out the Millennium Falcon in Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
That's the only time we see that. And when we actually look into it involving the comics and the thing, to me it was a watered-down retelling of the original with a different setting. A few new things here and there. I could see that.
Dad,
What?
can I please have a big cup of milk?
Can you ask Mommy? I'm currently busy. Thank you. The thing of the matter is, when Disney went back and did the comics, all right, for that time period, they point out the reason why the TIE bombers used those weapons on asteroids and not on capital ships is they were horrifically inaccurate weapons that required severe risk to the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Is this yours?
All right, and this was known. It wasn't like, oh, this is an Imperial secret. It was like the guy stated it as if it was common knowledge in the comics, which made me go, okay, how did the Resistance didn't know this?
Mm-hmm.
So right there is one major problem, and then the other one is they were like, oh, we lost all these bombers, you know, because they were all such in danger. I go, why didn't you use Y-wings?
Yeah.
The dang fighter craft that is how many years old is from the old Republic era, and the sucker just keeps trucking.
Yeah. It's the Motorola phone of the space fighter world.
Yeah, it never dies.
But I want to circle back to Poe. Later on, during the slow speed, stupid ass space chase where there's running out of fuel, and apparently the Empire has magic technology that can detect where you're going to jump in hyperspace. Basically you've got Vice Admiral Holdo in command of the rebel forces, and basically she's not telling anybody shit. Like, she's got a plan. We later find out that there's a plan. They're going to be passing by an old rebel base. She thinks she'll be able to offload a lot of the people there and basically lure the Empire away, allowing them to survive. Which is not a terrible plan. But she does not fucking inform her goddamn officers.
What?
The people responsible for controlling her soldiers. She keeps it all to herself. And
Okay,
it drives me batshit.
I'll be
have to
right
ask
back.
something
I'm
about-
going to point something out about that, but I have to pour my daughter.
No, she does not need that. She needs to
Okay.
be down.
so
Sorry.
camera, I don't know if you... Okay, one of the things that got to me about that was
I said
I don't have any experience with the military whatsoever. And even I went, hold on, wait. You haven't told anyone your
Right.
plan yet.
All right, so here, this is from my limited experience in the U.S. Armed Forces. Okay, so please keep that in mind. I am not a military expert. I was never a military officer, but from my training alone, this is what happens in that setting. All right.
Okay.
In the original chain of command, you had General Leia, then you had Holdo, then you had Poe.
Yep.
That was the chain of command, and then the rest of the officers, and then the pilots and everything else, all right?
Yeah.
So, when your lead officer goes down, the lead officer has passed on that information to their second in command. Even if it is, they haven't passed it down to third and below, they don't need to. They at least have 2 people.
Right.
That is military protocol. All right? It's also common sense.
To have at least 2 people know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, know the whole plan. All right? So Holdo now knows the whole plan. She refuses to tell Poe, even though Poe comes up to her and goes, "Yo, we're getting decimated. Do we have a plan? Because it seems like you don't have a plan. Like,
Right.
Can we do something here?" And she talks down to him as if he was a petulant child.
Right. And, I would say a lot of people, argue from the military standpoint, and that's partially correct. The Rebellion is a weird organization. It is partly like a traditional military and partly just whatever schmucks show up to battle against tyranny. It's even more of a volunteer force than a volunteer army. And as such, you have to assume that there's going to be some variances. But yeah, even if she doesn't feel like, I don't want to share the details of the plan because maybe she thinks that there's people on board that are spies or that would circulate it, she could at least tell him that there is a plan and she will make him aware of it at the appropriate time. It wouldn't even change the tenor of the scene. She could still be a snot about it. But if he knew that there was a plan, then he wouldn't basically try to mutiny, because what Poe sees from his perspective is that there's no fucking hope. And so he's like, I'm going to make some, goddammit, because I'm a Star Wars protagonist. That's what we do. And the writer of that movie, Rian Johnson, who has done some good stuff, just cannot fucking write this shit because he seems to hate the genre tropes of pulp sci-fi. And so he's like, well, I'm going to punish this character for acting like a Star Wars protagonist because Star Wars is for nerds.
Yeah. Now, for me, welcome back, everybody, from the ad break. Here's how I'd fix that scene, all right? Because there's an easy fix to it, all right? It's slightly rewriting the scene, and you're not messing with the movie too badly. Have her look at Poe and go, hey, look. The First Order is apparently tracking us somehow. I don't know if they put a device on our ship. I don't know if someone's telling them where we're going. I don't know. But either way, both those options tell me that there's likely someone here who is either a spy or a traitor. So I do not wish to give you the plan currently because I don't know who in this room could be a spy or a traitor. And I will talk to you about it at a later date when we can speak privately.
And
There's
the
your
best part
fix.
about that is, excuse me, the best part about that is, I'll talk to you about it later, privately. Well, later could be 10 minutes from now, it could be 2 years from now.
Well, she could also
Very
get,
fact
like,
that-
later it could also have been like when she mentions that something happens and keeps distracting them and they just don't get a chance to talk about it.
Yes, exactly. Now, like, again, as I was saying earlier, I have no experience in the military armed forces at all, but even I went, hold on, wait a minute. If nobody knows what you're
There's
doing
another
except
objective waiting
you,
for you. That's all I'm allowed to share at the moment.
how is,
I'll check back
say for
later to
example,
see how you're getting on.
and I know this sounds kind of stupid, but say for example,
I'm more interested
you
in
smack
how
your
much
head and you're
Empire
unconscious,
has wealth.
and it's
There is
unwise
no
to
denying that the
wake
park is
you
a business.
up because
You
your
have to be
brain
aware
is
of
swelling
bottom
or
line.
there's blood running your brain or something. Well, nobody knows what to do then, because you were the only person who knew what was going on, and you didn't tell anybody else. So the entire time you're out, everybody else in the ship has only got one option. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're doing. We have to stay here until she wakes up, or at least until it's medically safe to wake her up and find out where to go from her.
Yeah.
Too many things that could go wrong with this. Why are you approving this?
And that's the biggest problem with this. It's like so many things just could have gone wrong and could have totally screwed the pooch. And yet they didn't care. And but that's that issue. With the newer movies, we did get off the beaten path. The three characters. We just did cover Poe fairly well. And some of the issues they did dumb with him. They didn't really help him. The three characters didn't get much help in the last movie, except for Rey. Until the very end. And then they completely screwed the pooch there. Which was what Inquisition was bringing up earlier. Rey doesn't have a last name, as we said before. Well, fun fact, they make Rey pick a new name at the end of the movie.
I have heard about this, yeah.
So they make her pick Skywalker.
Yeah.
Which is a major problem. Why? Because the Skywalker name just has as much baggage with it as Palpatine's last name does.
At the very least, Palpatine's name, you can try and skew the facts and state, well, he united the Empire for 30 years before the rebellion started. That could be why you want me around and in charge, as it were.
Yeah, and it is a problem, don't get me wrong. Give me a second, I need to get rid of that. How many? Oh, I need two, okay.
I mean, I kind of get what they were going for, but it's...
The wrong way to go around it?
I think it would have been more powerful if she had just said that her name is just Rey. So she's essentially rejecting the continuity of, okay, the Skywalkers did some fucked up shit, the Palpatine guy did some fucked up shit. I'm not any of that. I'm just Rey. And I think that would have probably been the way to go with the last name. Her essentially embracing this freedom from her own personal history. I get that, we want to have new Skywalkers. Okay, I guess. It feels like the I am Spartacus. I am Skywalker. No, I am Skywalker.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it was very poorly done. So there was that. Finn got no character development in the third movie. Like, they finished his character story in the second one when Pharasma got basically offed in a very unceremonious way.
Yep.
And that was something else I really was not happy about. I was like, can we please have, Pharasma doing more? Like, she could have been such an interesting addition, you know what I mean?
I think Rian Johnson looked at the original trilogy and looked at Boba Fett and said, how can I make a character's death more anticlimactic than Boba Fett?
Yeah.
No, but seriously, like...
They at least brought Boba Fett back right.
Yeah, although the one part of that I did just sort of go, oh, that's gotta hurt. Was like, you see his, would it be his son or his clone son?
What, Boba
The-
Fett's?
Yeah, like he picks up the helmet and stares at it, and I just thought, oh,
You mean his father?
yeah.
Yeah, Boba Fett didn't have any children. That was... You mean Jango Fett.
Wait, sorry, yep, I'm getting the names wrong.
Yeah, Jango Fett had a son. Boba Fett didn't.
Like, I just remember seeing the kid lifting up the helmet, and I just went, is your dad's head still in there?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain they didn't just want it to pop out. That would have been, well, rather, problematic for,
Not to mention mentally scarring for the child holding the helmet.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about the fictional character. That would have been mentally scarring for the audience.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, oh, no. Let's not do that. Like, that was terrifying. That could have been bad. Oh, I gotta sit back and wait for money to come in because I'm not making a lot of money right now. Let's see. Alright, maybe I should get rid of one of these. That would help with some. Do that. Alright, oh boy. But yeah, honestly, Pharasma could have been a really cool thing for Finn to deal with. I feel like that was definitely underutilized too.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's the main plot of the whole sequel trilogy is let's underutilize everything.
Yeah.
And that really hurts, and I think that's probably in part because they had two separate directors doing it.
Okay, about that. Now, I did hear from two different people that the original director, the guy who made the first one, apparently he had a relative who died. I can't remember who the relative was. So Disney went, oh, well, let's bring somebody else in to take it over, when they could have just went, our director who's leading the films has just had a personal tragedy. We'll wait a while. And, once he's had enough time to get over it and goes back to work again, well, the films will start coming out then.
Yeah, but they got to make those Christmas release dates.
Oh yeah, good gods.
That's a fair point.
I feel like they honestly, what they would have been best is, even if they had to get another director, they should have put somewhere in the contract of the director, it's like, hey, here are the 3 scripts we're using. We've already done 1. We have 2 more. Stick to the script.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mess with the script. Or be like, you can make changes to the script in minor ways, but you cannot change the overarching main points of the plot. Which is kind of what Rian Johnson did.
Yeah, I'm not finding a reference to J.J. Abrams having a family tragedy.
I could have sworn he had another movie he was working on at the time.
I do see a reference that he wanted to spend time with family, and that's why he didn't initially want to do 8 and 9.
I could be wrong. I just remember something about family, but what exactly, I don't remember.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say is it may be people conflating two situations, because the reason that Zack Snyder didn't direct Justice League was because of a death in his family, allowing Joss Whedon to take over. So there was a similar situation around the same time frame. It was just a different franchise.
Yeah. That's very possible. That's very, It's easy to confuse such things. It happens. Oh, another dead dino. Who died? Another Draco X. Okay, so I need another Draco X. I better start producing those. There you are.
Yeah, it looks like J.J. Abrams originally didn't want to do all 3 movies because he didn't want to go movie, 2 years, movie, 2 years, movie, and basically spend all his time away from the family. So he was originally going to direct the first one and produce all 3. But then after the reaction to Last Jedi, he did come back for The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, because he realized how bad that movie was. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and like I said, Rian Johnson is a good writer in certain contexts. Like, Glass Onion and Knives Out, both great movies. But Rian Johnson also has these particular writing tics that I think don't play well with, like, adventure-style movies or science fiction-style movies. You give him a mystery, and yeah, he's great. But the way I've always tried to explain it to people is that when you're writing a mystery, at least the Agatha Christie style, you've got your conclusion, you know who your murderer is, and you're plotting a series of twists and turns, like misdirections to other suspects, and then you want to have an impactful big reveal. So essentially you're contriving all these particular circumstances to, like, make the emotional wavelength of the movie go up and down the way you want it to. And with science fiction and adventure films, that level of contrivance comes off as, well, that seems like bullshit, because, you know, you're still forcing your conclusion, but then you have things like, the Empire has a device that can track hyperjumps, and we're running out of gas in space. That's never been a problem before, but we need them to be in this slow speed chase so I can contrive the rest of this movie, and also have Finn apparently escape in a tiny craft completely unnoticed, go many sectors away without the Empire detecting his hyperjump, and do a whole subplot and then come back.
Just to have the guy I brought back to help me betray us.
Yeah. It's like there are so many little contrivances and twists in Knives Out, but in that genre, you're expecting that. That is the genre tropes of that kind of mystery. Whereas with a Star Wars film, you see, it's a hopeless situation. Oh man, they did something daring. Now it's fixed. They get away. Of course, they're going to get in another jam, but that's how it goes. It's just, completely different rhythm to the storytelling, and I just don't think he has it. I'm trying to think, other than Knives Out, Glass Onion, and Last Jedi, the only other thing of his I've seen is Looper, and I think that's pretty bad too.
I heard Looper was pretty gnarly.
I mean, here's the problem with Looper. Looper is an hour and 40 minutes of a Twilight Zone episode that would have normally run 44 minutes. It's an interesting premise, but it is not a movie-length interesting premise, and it is so padded as to become dull.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I've literally, I think there's literally multiple like short stories that deal with this same kind of premise. I've seen other concepts executed with the same basic story. It's just that they don't pretend that there's an hour and 40 minutes of content there, or try to stretch it out with, talkie scenes.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, God. Alright. Oh, of course, as soon as I'm done with the frickin' storm, my food gets infected.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. Okay. Let's get to there. Alright, here we are. Alright, so I feel like we had an interesting chat. We narrowed it down. I'd say we came to an agreement that the Sith are not right, but neither are the Jedi. They're both shitty.
I would happily accept that conclusion. Inquisition, what do you think?
I concur completely.
Yeah, I would say the Sith are shittier than the Jedi, only because the Sith make worse neighbors.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just, well, it's like being the difference between like a frat house being next door, and like a sociopathic killer on the other side. Like, which one do you want to live next to? It's like,
Well, I guess, do you want to be living next to the person who's always playing music at the top of the stereo volume at 2 a.m., or a person that yells at you every time your music is too loud?
yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't even say like playing at 2 a.m. It's more of like someone who just will straight up murder you if you look at them wrong, or the person who is just super preachy all the time.
Yeah.
That's like the difference between the two. It's just like death or preaching. I'll take preaching. I can at least ignore preaching.
Yeah.
Can't ignore the guy that's trying to shank me.
Mr. Kenny, what's that say?
Just chatting.
Oh.
All right. So we're going to be rating Melissa in Denial. She is currently playing Assassin's Creed Mirage. So it's Egyptian Assassin's Creed, I believe. So if you're one of my many followers, please use the following raid message. If you are one of my few subscribers, please use the following raid message. Let's see, where are we at for followers? We're at 1,105 followers, and our goal is 1,200.
Even up.
AP Fireballs the damn tavern. Alright, so join me.
Skulls for the skull throne! Blood for the blood god!
Okay, yeah. Tomorrow is Baldur's Gate 3. I'm going to be playing that with Wizen and Faye Fox. I'll be trying to make sure I arrange it with them. I know definitely Wizen will be showing up. I have no... Ah, yeah. Bastard! So, there'll be that. Excuse me while I choke on my lungs here. So I'll be playing Baldur's Gate 3 for the first time. I'm likely going to be playing either a Barbarian or a Paladin. I have not decided which yet. Either way, the word of the day is going to be bonk. So there is that. So join us for the awesome amounts of bonkitude that we will be having tomorrow. And then next week, on Tabletop Tuesday, we'll have Nadja Kale on. Alright? And we're going to be educating her on Warhammer 40k. If you haven't voted yet, here's the link. Go on Twitter, vote for which faction we are going to start her with. Alright? You got 4 options. Let's see which one we get, because I'm excited to see which one.
I honestly would love to vote, but I'm caught between 2, and it's like, I can't vote for either one because I want both.
Well, here's the thing. Anyone that gets voted in will do that week. Alright? Once it's removed, I'll replace it with another one. Mm-hmm. Probably at random. Alright? In which case...
with a sword in one hand and a harp in the other, shouting my greatness from the rooftops, laying bitches and slaying witches. Or is it laying witches and slaying bitches? I can't quite remember. I was too busy giving the tavern owner a reason to stay in business.
Yeah, Faye, tomorrow, remember, you're supposed to be here to join me for Baldur's Gate 3. You're supposed to be the bard. So vote for what you want Nadja to learn, because we're going to have a lot of fun teaching her about stuff. I've been learning a lot about various factions myself, like going over some of the books, some of the things that I have access to, things of that nature. What time? Be in Discord at 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay? That's when I need you to be here, so that way we are all logged in, we are all in the same game, and I can make sure it's running smoothly for all of us. that is the kicker. Alright. With that being said, hopefully you guys will join us tomorrow. it is time to raid Melissa in Denial, so make sure you take care of yourselves mentally and physically, because that's always important. And I know you come to my wonderful tavern for the witty banter, but you stay for my fuck-ups. So I will see you all tomorrow. Toodles.
Oodles.